Hey guys, it's Drew again. Today I'm going to do a video response from my buddy Jason over at MRFISHERBIKE, who wanted us to talk about the person that influenced us to actually turn the camera on and start making videos. So let's check it out. So like I said, Jason wanted us to do a video response just talking about who influenced us to start making videos here on YouTube and join this great community, or anybody we may have influenced to start. And right off the bat, I just want to say two things. First, I don't know of anybody that I've influenced to start making videos. A good friend of mine, Will, he's made 2 videos and I'm trying to encourage him to do more. Both of those videos were responses to me. So maybe, but probably not. But more about the person who influenced me. So no cliffhanger or anything. I'm just going to talk. He's my good friend Jake, and Jake has a channel called Legends Never Die. He was formerly known as the Ticket Leprechaun, and it's not hard to kind of guess that he got me into this sort of thing. But I want to talk about the history of my friendship with Jake and how we met. And just stuff like that, just to kind of share the story and then show some cards in honor of Jake. So I hope you guys enjoy this. So the story goes back, I don't know, it was probably about 2013, 14, somewhere in that range. And I'm friends with a guy who is a card dealer, does a little show circuit up in the North Carolina, South Carolina area, named Kurt. And Kurt and I had become friends through shows, and he was doing a show in Charlotte, North Carolina. So at this card show, I'm helping Kurt, and I'm meeting people, and I'm trying to do stuff. And Kurt deals with low-end vintage cards, so it's like right up my alley. And while I'm standing there talking and stuff to people, this young man comes up, actually 2 guys come up, and they start looking. One guy in particular is looking through cards. He was building a 1959 top set at the time, so I was helping him just talk about cards and stuff. And the other guy was kind of not interested. He was obviously a friend of the first one. So the first one looking for the 59 cent was Jake. The other guy's name was Cade. And they're buddies. They were there together looking at stuff for the show. And Jake obviously was into cards, and at the time, Cade was into autographs. So I don't really know Cade very well. I did meet him and talk a couple times, but this is how I met Jake. And so I'm like excited. I'm talking to this guy, and he was pretty young. I mean, he was probably, I don't know, 20, 21, and he was really, really knowledgeable about vintage cards. So I was really excited about talking to this guy about cards and just the history of the sport. And he actually has a checklist. So I'm helping Jake go through his checklist and finding cards for his 1959 set. And he and I just start talking, and we just kind of strike up a little bit of a friendship. And so I get his phone number, he gets mine. And it's funny because I'm trying to differentiate. Now, I'm just a terrible person with names. I'm awful with names. So I had to write a remember. And so what I did was that I put their phone numbers, both Jake and Cade, in my phone. I put Cade and then followed it by the Auto Kid, because he's about the same age as Jake. And then Jake, I put Jake the Card Kid, and that helped me differentiate between who was who by name. I remember them by face and what they liked, but by name anyway. And the funny thing is still to this day in my phone, Jake, even though we know each other really well, is still listed as Jake the Card Kid. So anyway, so if you don't know Jake, let's talk about him a little bit. So Jake has been a member in this community for a number of years. I actually was friends with Jake before he started making videos, and he was the first person that I ever watched card videos of within this community. I had like looked at some big channels and stuff, but I just never connected with those people. And it was it just wasn't as interesting. But Jake, I knew, and so he would talk about this and whatever, put videos out like anybody else. And I would watch his stuff, and, it was always fun. And through Jake and my relationship, he told me, he's like, hey, you're a Carl Erskine fan. Here's a guy that I've met. I want you to look at his video. And he gives me a link to a video about a guy who did a TTM, which happened to be Scott at Reindeer Studios. So Scott was actually the second channel that I ever started watching and following, and completely different type of channel, but just really interesting to me. So anyway, that's kind of where it started. And Jake has been to my house in this room a couple of times, and I've been to Jake's house, and he and I have met a number of times at card shows, just in life. He actually lives, I don't know, 20 minutes maybe from where my father lives up in North Carolina. So there's been times where I've gone up to see my dad and I've visited Jake, and just, we meet up, we've had, lunch together and just stuff like that. We're in texting threads and we talk all the time. So Jake is a huge Braves fan, and, he loves certain things. And one of his favorite cards that he just talks about is one of the most beautiful cards, and I'm going to have to agree with him on it, is a 1953 Bowman Color Warren Spahn. And so I'm going to show my copy of the Warren Spahn card. Now, here's the thing about this card. It's a close-up of Spawn, but what Jake loves about it is not just the contrast of color, but it's this right here, the fact that the patch, he gets really excited about the different logos and stuff that the team has used over the decades. And, the Braves have been around for a long, long time, and he loves this mid-50s sleeve patch that they wore. So what I did was, instead of just showing off this card, I went through my 1953 Bowman set, and I found other cards of Braves players that actually show off something about their logo. So here is the same set. This is my Eddie Matthews, and the Eddie Matthews, you can see it up there on the corner, up there on his sleeve. You can see the thing, and the other thing is you can start to see where it says Braves and the bottom of that tomahawk. Great picture of Eddie Matthews, follow through swing, and I really like this card. And but then I found a couple of others too, and one is Sid Gordon, who's actually early in the set number 5. And this one's really cool because it shows both the patch as well as his logo with the tomahawk, full thing. And again, these cards are so great. There's so many, it's amazing they took all these pictures with the blue sky. Just so many great photographs in this set. And then the last one that I found in the set as a quick flip through was Joe Adcock. And Joe Adcock's just a great picture, a great smile. Again, that blue blue sky with some clouds up there, but you can clearly see on his jersey the Braves logo as well as the tomahawk down there. So I figured I'd show these cards off, just talking about Jake and how he influenced me to turn on. And really what he did was he said, Drew, you're always telling stories about all this stuff that you've done and seen and just whatever. He said, just start recording them, put them out there. He said, people love to hear stories. And I thought, it's not about you guys listening to them, although I do find that interesting. A lot of it is just documenting it. So that way my family, my kids down in the future, I'm always telling stories, whether they're interested or not, but maybe they will be someday. And they can go back and listen and say like, oh, this is why Dad liked this, or this is why Dad had that. And it's kind of all about my collection, the stories that I got within it, the stories of the relationships that I've met of people. And that's really why I do YouTube, is to share stories and to hear stories, to make connections with people. So I will, again, thank you for Jake for just encouraged me to do this. He opened a world to me that I've really enjoyed. I've gotten to know so many of you guys through your videos, some through texting, phone calls, and I've even met one in person, and I'm looking forward to meeting more of you guys in the future. So Jason, I hope this is good. This is what you wanted. Go check out Jason, Mr. Fisherbike's channel. Definitely go check out Jake. Legends never die. If you've not seen either of them, I can't imagine you haven't. And give them some support. But anyway, that's my video, so I appreciate you coming along, looking at a couple cards, and until next time, you guys be good.